I never thought I'd be the guy posting about this kind of thing, but here I am. My name's Mike, and honestly I feel like my world's been turned upside down in the worst way possible. It's a long story, but I'll try to keep it clear and straight, because right now I don't even know what to believe anymore. So, I've been with my wife, Emily, for about 6 years now. We've had our ups and downs like any couple, but overall, I thought we were solid. We have a good life, decent jobs, a nice apartment, and a little girl on the way. Things should have been perfect. But then came the signs. Little things, really. She started acting distant, more secretive with her phone, and I'd catch her lying about where she was going or who she was talking to. I brushed it off at first, telling myself maybe she was stressed or tired. Then came the wedding. My sister's wedding. It was a big deal. We had everything planned for months: her dress, the reception, the family coming in from out of town. I was supposed to be her support, her best man. And I was until the morning of the wedding. That's when I noticed something strange. Emily was acting weird more than usual. She was temperamental, snapping at me for no reason, and when I tried to talk to her, she gave me these cold, dismissive looks, like I was bothering her. But what really got me was the night before. I saw her sneaking her phone into the bathroom when she thought I wasn't looking. I didn't think much of it at the time, but I should have known better. When I looked at her screen, I saw a string of messages from someone named Jake. That's when my stomach dropped. I didn't even need to read further. I recognized the tone, flirty, suggestive. They were talking about meeting up, and she was promising to hide it from me. I felt sick. I knew then that my wife was cheating on me, and I didn't want to believe it, but I saw enough. The way she was acting, the secretive texts, her dismissiveness, I knew she was hiding something big. I decided I'd wait until the right moment to confront her, but the tension was killing me all day. Then, during the rehearsal dinner, I noticed Emily acting even more distant, texting on her phone under the table, and Jake was always popping up in her messages. I was about to explode, but I just kept my cool. All I kept thinking was, how could she do this? How could she cheat on me, right before the most important day of my sister's life? That's when I knew I had to find out the truth once and for all. That night after the rehearsal, I stayed up late, waiting for her to go to bed. I went through her phone, too much time on my hands, I know, but I had to know. And there it was, a full conversation, explicit and dirty, with Jake. They were talking about meeting up that very morning, and she was telling him how she couldn't wait to get some before the wedding. I swear my heart sank. I felt so betrayed, so angry and devastated all at once. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there, staring at her messages, feeling like my whole life was a lie. Next morning, I decided I couldn't keep quiet anymore. I was going to confront her. I had to. I knew her schedule. She said she was meeting her hairdresser, but I was pretty sure she was with Jake. I took a walk, trying to calm myself, but my mind was racing. I was nervous, angry, and hurt beyond belief. When she finally came out of our hotel room, I blocked her way. I told her I knew everything. Her face went pale for a second, then she started with the lies. That's when she dropped her bitchy attitude and started spinning her bullshit about how it was just sex, how I was paranoid, how she didn't mean anything. Honestly, I didn't even want her explanations. I just looked at her and realized I don't know if I can ever trust her again. After she finished her string of lies, I felt something inside me snap. I've always believed in honesty, in loyalty. Hell, I thought that was supposed to be the foundation of a marriage. But here I was, listening to her spin her bullshit about how it was just sex, how she was under stress, and how it didn't mean anything. Yeah, right. Like that makes it okay. Like a few excuses, erase the fact that she was in bed with my best friend Jake during our sister's wedding, something I was supposed to be supporting her through, not catching her in the act. I've got to admit I was furious, but I also felt a deep, gnawing sadness I couldn't shake. I looked at her, cool and calm on the surface, but inside I was boiling. I told her I knew about the messages, about Jake, everything. She just shrugged, started calling me paranoid, saying I was overreacting, that I was making a big deal out of nothing. That's her MO. She's good at lying, and she's good at turning things around to make herself look innocent. I've seen that before, but this time it didn't work. I wasn't going to buy her bullshit. I was trembling, trying to hold it together, but my mind was racing. I asked her how long this had been going on, and she finally snapped back. Since forever, maybe. I don't even know why I'm bothering to explain. That's when I realized she didn't even care about the damage she'd done. She just wanted to keep her secret safe, keep her lies going. And Jake, he was supposed to be my best friend, I thought. I knew him, but turns out I didn't know anything. I told her she needed to leave the hotel room, that I needed space to think. She threw a fit, calling me crazy, saying I was overreacting, that I was ruining her day. I wanted to punch her. I wanted to scream at her, but I just told her to get out and leave me alone. I sat there alone in that room, staring at the wall, feeling numb. I tried to process what I'd just discovered. How could she do this? How could she betray me like that, right in the middle of the wedding, the day I was supposed to support my sister? It was hard to focus, but I kept thinking back to all the signs I ignored. The secretive texts, her cold attitude, her disappearing acts. I felt like I'd been blind, a fool for missing all the warning signs. What hurts the most is knowing she did this with someone I once called my best friend, Jake. We, known each other for years, shared everything. And now I find out he's been screwing my wife behind my back, during the most vulnerable time of my life, while I was trying to hold everything together for my family. That's a level of betrayal I don't think I'll ever get over. When I finally got some space and time to think, I remembered that she kept trying to justify it, saying I was too uptight, not enough, or that I didn't satisfy her anymore. That's why she cheated, because I wasn't good enough. Honestly, hearing her say that made me feel even worse. It's like she chose Jake over me because she thought I was weak or something. I've never felt so discarded and worthless in my life. It's like I was some kind of obstacle to her happiness, and now I realize I was just a pawn in her game. I kept asking myself how I could ever trust her again. It's not like she even seemed sorry, more like she was annoyed I found out. She didn't even cry, didn't seem remorseful. She just kept lying, kept spinning her bullshit. And me? I just sat there, feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. I know I have to decide what to do next, but honestly right now I feel lost. I thought I knew her, I thought I knew us. Turns out I knew nothing. And that's what's killing me the most. The betrayal, the lies, the feeling that everything I believed in was a lie. I don't know if I can ever look her in the eyes again, let alone trust her. I'm angry, yes, but mostly I'm just devastated. I've lost a lot in that moment. My trust, my respect, my sense of security. I don't even know how to face my family now, knowing what she did on what was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my sister's life. So that's where I stand now, hurt, betrayed, and trying to gather the strength to figure out what's next. I want to believe there's some way forward, but honestly, I don't see it right now. All I know is I don't want to be a fool anymore. I don't want to be taken for granted, used, or lied to like that. I just wish I could turn back time and stop myself from trusting her so much. But it's too late for that now. After I kicked Emily out of the hotel room, I sat alone on the bed, trying to breathe through the chaos inside my head. My mind kept circling back to that moment, her cold face, her bullshit excuses, Jake's betrayal. It was like I'd been hit with a sledgehammer and I couldn't find my footing. I kept asking myself how I'd missed all the signs, how I'd been so blind to what was going on beneath my nose. I've always believed in honesty, in loyalty, and I thought she felt the same. But now I was questioning everything about us, about her. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there staring at the ceiling, replaying everything I knew and everything she'd told me. The worst part was feeling so helpless. I kept thinking about the moments I'd caught her sneaking her phone, the weird attitude, the lying about her plans. It all added up in my head, and I realized I'd ignored those warning signs because I wanted to believe she was loyal. I wanted so badly for everything to be okay that I dismissed the little things, her secretive silence, her cold reactions, her evasiveness. Now I see how naive I was. The next morning was even worse. I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My stomach was twisted and my chest felt tight. I didn't know what to do or say. I told myself I had to confront her again, but part of me hesitated. I was tired of the lies, tired of the pain, and tired of feeling like I was the only one fighting for this marriage. I knew I couldn't just sweep this under the rug or pretend it didn't happen. I had to face the truth, whatever that was. When Emily called me later that morning, she tried to act like nothing had changed, like I was overreacting, like she didn't do anything wrong. She called me paranoid, said I was blowing things out of proportion. She kept saying she was stressed, busy, and that I was just jealous or insecure. Honestly, hearing her spin her bullshit only made me angrier. I knew better now. That woman wasn't just stressed, she was cheating on me with my best friend, Jake. I'd found evidence and I wasn't going to let her deny it. I decided I needed to get some space. I told her I wasn't ready to talk yet, that I needed to think. She huffed, threw a tantrum, and started crying, but I didn't care. I felt numb, like I was watching everything unfold from outside my body. Inside, I was a mess. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her in that hotel room with Jake, doing whatever they were doing. I kept replaying the texts, the moments I saw her texting him in plain sight. How could she be so callous? How could she betray me like that, especially during my sister's wedding? I spent the rest of that day just walking around trying to keep it together. I kept asking myself, what now? Do I forgive her? Do I leave? Do I try to fix this mess? Honestly, I felt like I was suffocating under the weight of it all. The betrayal wasn't just about cheating, it was about trust, respect, and the promises we made to each other. Those promises mean nothing now, or at least that's how it feels. And then I thought about Jake, my lifelong buddy. We shared everything, our hopes, our fears, our dreams. I never imagined he'd be the one screwing my wife behind my back. It's like some sick joke. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I didn't see it coming. I always thought Jake was the one guy I could trust, and now I realize I was fooling myself. The pain of that realization hit harder than I expected. It was like losing a part of myself, knowing the person I thought was my brother turned out to be the one who shattered everything I believed in. As the day dragged on, I couldn't help but feel a mixture of rage and heartbreak. I was furious at Emily for her lies, for her betrayal, for playing me like a fool. But I was also deeply hurt because I loved her, or at least I thought I did. Now I wasn't sure what love even meant anymore. Could I forgive her? Could I rebuild what she tore apart? Those questions haunted me, and honestly, I didn't have an answer yet. All I knew was that I needed time to figure out what I really wanted and how I was going to move forward. Because right now I felt completely lost, and the future I once saw so clearly was now shrouded in doubt. The following days didn't get any easier. I kept waking up with that sick feeling in my stomach, and every time I tried to piece together what had happened, my mind just went into overdrive. I couldn't shake the image of Emily with Jake, or the honesty I desperately needed but couldn't find. I spent most of my time alone, trying to pretend I was okay, but inside I was unraveling. Every little thing reminded me of her, her perfume on her clothes, the way she used to laugh, the way she'd look at me with that fake smile. It all felt like a cruel joke now. I kept asking myself whether I should confront her again, try to get some answers, or just cut ties completely. Part of me wanted to hear her say she was sorry, to beg her to fix it, but another part knew better. I knew she'd just lie again, spin some more stories, pretend she didn't do anything wrong. That's who she was, a master at lying, at manipulating. And Jake, I kept remembering how I'd always thought of him as my brother, and now I saw him as nothing more than a traitor. Knowing he'd been screwing my wife during something so sacred, my sister's wedding, made me sick. One night I finally decided I needed to hear what she had to say face to face, even if I already suspected I wouldn't like the truth. I reached out, told her I was ready to talk. No yelling, no accusations, just a real conversation. She agreed to meet at her place that evening. When she showed up, she looked different, defensive, like she knew she was walking into a trap. I don't think she expected me to be so calm, but I couldn't be anything else. My heart pounding, I sat her down and asked her straight out, "Did you really sleep with Jake?" Her eyes briefly flickered with guilt, but then she quickly snapped back with her usual bullshit. "Mike, it's not what you think. We're just friends, and it was a mistake. Just sex, nothing serious. It didn't mean anything." She tried to look innocent, but her voice was shaky and her eyes darted around. I didn't buy it. I told her I had the messages, the proof. I told her I saw her texts, and I knew she'd been lying from the start. Her jaw clenched, and she started with the typical defensive bullshit. How I was paranoid. How she didn't want to hurt me, how I was being insecure, but I wasn't buying it anymore. I told her I was done playing her game, that I didn't want her explanations, I just wanted the truth. Her face twisted into a sneer and she spat back, "You're just jealous. You're insecure and honestly, you're boring in bed. No wonder I looked elsewhere." That stung. Bad. Not just the words, but the fact that she was trying to make me feel like it was my fault, like I was the problem. She kept saying she was tired of pretending everything was perfect, that she needed excitement, that I was too dull for her anymore. I felt my blood boil. How dare she blame me? How dare she turn everything around on me after what she'd done? I told her she was a liar, a cheat, and a fake. I said I didn't want to see her anymore, that I was done with all the lies and games. I got up, told her to leave, and that I wasn't going to fight anymore. I wanted her gone, out of my life, out of my head. Watching her walk out that door, I felt a strange mixture of relief and emptiness. Part of me was glad she was finally out of my life, but a bigger part was broken. And that's when it hit me. I'd lost trust in everything. I realized I'd been living in a bubble, fooling myself into thinking we had something real. Turns out, she never loved me the way I thought she did. She just wanted what she couldn't have, and she found it in Jake. Now I was left with this mess, trying to pick up the pieces of a life I thought was perfect but was nothing more than an illusion. The betrayal cut deep, and I knew it would take a long time to heal. The worst part is, I don't even know if I want to try anymore. The pain, the anger, the feeling of being used, it's all too much. I keep thinking about how I gave her everything, and she threw it all away for some cheap sex. How she lied to me every day, pretending to be the perfect wife. How Jake, my best friend, was all too happy to take part in this sick game. It's like a bad dream I can't wake up from. And honestly, I'm exhausted. I don't even know what's left of me anymore. All I know is that I need to figure out what's next, but right now, I feel like I'm just wandering in the dark. The days that followed were a blur of confusion, anger, and deep sadness. I kept replaying everything in my mind, every look, every lie, every time I missed the signs. I thought about my future, the one I had envisioned with Emily, now shattered beyond repair. It's like my whole world crumbled overnight. I was angry at her, furious with Jake, and worst of all, I hated myself for trusting them so blindly for so long. I tried to talk to my parents, my friends, anyone who would listen, but most of them just told me to move on, or that I was better off without her. Honestly, I didn't see how that was possible. How do you move on from something like this? How do you look at your wife, knowing she spent nights with your best friend, while you were just trying to support her during her pregnancy? It's a pain that cuts so deep. I thought I'd never get past it, and what's worse, I didn't even know if I wanted to try. Part of me just wanted to disappear for a while, escape the pain, and figure out what I really needed. I started seeing a therapist, mainly because I couldn't handle the emotional roller coaster anymore. He told me I was going through a normal grief process: shock, denial, anger, bargaining, and eventually, acceptance. I didn't buy that completely, but I figured I had to try to keep myself together. I spent hours talking to him about everything: the betrayal, the heartbreak, the anger. But no matter how many times I talked it out, the pain lingered. It was like a wound that refused to heal. One night I went back to her apartment to pick up some of my things. I didn't want to do it, but I knew I had to. When I walked in, everything was the same: her clothes still on the bed, her perfume lingering in the air. It hit me harder than I expected. I saw the photos on the wall, the memories we made, the vacations, the holidays, and I felt like I was staring at someone else's life. I realized I'd been living in denial, clinging to the idea that maybe she'd come back and say she was sorry. But deep down, I knew that wasn't going to happen. She had made her choice. I took what I needed and left quickly. As I drove away, I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. I was finally free from her lies, but I also felt like I'd lost a part of myself. That's when I started asking myself if I'd ever be able to trust again. How do you rebuild a broken trust after something so huge? Is there any way to forgive and forget? Honestly, I don't know. All I know is that I can't keep living in the past, but it's damn hard to move forward when the pain is still so fresh. People keep telling me I should focus on myself, on my kid, and find happiness elsewhere. I get it. I really do. But right now, all I see is a mountain of heartbreak. I feel like I've been scammed, used, and thrown away. The worst part is knowing she doesn't even seem to care. She's just moved on, acting like nothing happened, like I was nothing but an obstacle to her happiness. That thought makes me sick. How could she be so callous? How could Jake, my best friend, do this to me? I still can't believe they did this right under my nose during my sister's wedding, something I was supposed to support and celebrate. So I'm just here trying to piece my life back together one day at a time. It hurts, it really does. But I know I have to find a way out of this darkness. I've realized that trusting people blindly was my mistake, and now I have to learn how to trust myself again. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm done waiting for her or Jake to apologize or change. I've learned that some betrayals cut so deep that they leave scars you'll carry forever. All I can do now is focus on healing, even if it's one small step at a time. Looking back now, I realize I was naive to think that love and loyalty were enough to keep a marriage alive. I was blind to the way she was pulling away, to her lies and sneaky messages, because I was too busy believing in the ideal. It's a hard lesson learned. Trust can be broken in a second, and once it's gone, it's almost impossible to fully get it back. That night I confronted her, I thought I was doing what was right, but honestly I was just fooling myself. The truth is, I was too hurt to see straight. I thought if I just said what I knew, she'd somehow change or at least admit to her mistakes. But all she did was lie harder, spin her stories, and make me feel like the crazy one. Now I see things clearer. I've come to accept that some betrayals are too deep to undo. Trust is fragile. Once shattered, it takes more than words to repair. I've realized I can't force her to see what she's done or to feel remorse. What I can do is focus on my own healing. That's what I'm doing now. I've moved out of the apartment, started working on myself, and reevaluating what I want from life. It's not easy. It's the hardest thing I've ever gone through, but I know I have to put myself first now. My daughter needs a father who's strong, who can be there for her, and I can't do that if I'm still buried in pain and bitterness. The one thing I've learned through all of this is that betrayal cuts so deep that it leaves a scar you carry forever. But it also teaches you something. It teaches you that loyalty and honesty are the true foundations of any relationship. Without them, everything crumbles. I've become more cautious, more guarded, but I also feel a little stronger for having survived this. I still get moments when I feel broken, but I remind myself that I'm still here, still standing, and that I deserve better. Most of all, I've learned that sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is to walk away. Not because you're weak, but because you're smart enough to know when enough is enough. Trust is earned, and if it's repeatedly broken, then maybe it's time to rebuild from scratch, alone. I don't regret the love I had for Emily. I only regret trusting her so blindly. Now I see that real strength lies in choosing myself over the pain, so I'm moving forward slowly but surely. I've started seeing new people, reconnecting with old friends, and focusing on my kid. The wounds will heal with time, I know that. And maybe someday I'll find someone who truly values loyalty, honesty, and trust, someone who won't betray me like Emily did. Until then, I'll keep reminding myself that I'm better off without the lies, the deceit, and the fake smiles. I've learned the hard way that the only person you can truly rely on is yourself. And honestly, that's the most important lesson I could have learned.